Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Transform with Travel. I cannot believe that this is the last episode of the year. What a doozy this year was. I don't know if you are feeling what I'm feeling, but this was a year. Some high highs, some really low lows, and it's really been a roller coaster of a year. I don't know if you've felt that. Through it all, honestly, travel has been something that's kept me reminding who I am as a person, always kept me, trying to evolve and be the best person that I possibly can be. Travel's always been a catalyst for growth for me. And so that has been such a blessing in my life that through work and through personal family travel, I've been able to still be able to experience the things that bring me a lot of joy. And one of those things is traveling to Europe. And today's episode, I'm so excited to share. Last week, I announced that I was sharing a few conversations that I was having with some new clients with my new role over at Travel Kinship, where we represent amazing on the ground partners, DMCs from around the world, and introducing them to travel advisors. And I am so excited to be able to share another one of our clients today. Her name is Paula Alves. She's the co-founder of Portugal by TRAVELTAILORS. And in today's episode, we share more about how to get a little bit deeper into Portugal, how to feel more of that living culture, living tradition of Portugal, and going beyond the hotspots. So of course, you can stop in Lisbon, you can stop in Porto, you can go down to the Algarve, but how do we take it one step further? And Paula really shares her story, how she became so passionate about sharing Portugal with the world, and how she became one of the premier in-destination specialists in the entire country. So I'm really excited for you to learn more about Portugal, add it to your bucket list. If you are a travel advisor, be sure to reach out to me and I'll get you connected with Paula and her team to be able to help you plan your client's trip to Portugal. If you are a traveler and you're working with a travel advisor, be sure to tell your travel advisor that you want to work with Portugal by TRAVELTAILORS. All right, I'll see you on the next episode. Welcome to Voices of Kinship. Through these conversations, we shine a light on the people behind the journeys, the creators, the storytellers, and visionaries shaping travel today. I'm Kelly Tolliday, and today I'm joined by Paula Alves, founder of Portugal by TRAVELTAILORS. Paula and her team design handcraft itineraries that really celebrate the true essence of Portugal. It's artistry, crafts, traditions, flavors, and most importantly, its people. From the rolling hills of the Douro Valley to the sun-soaked Algarve, she helps travelers uncover a side of Portugal that's deeply authentic and beautifully personal. In today's episode, we'll explore Paula's journey as a founder, the stories that have inspired her, and how travel advisors can craft itineraries that honor Portugal's culture from north to south. So I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining, Paula.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Paula, for those who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you or working with you, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what inspired you to create Portugal by TRAVELTAILORS?
Of course. Well, I was born in Portugal but grew up in the United States. So I came back to Portugal every year as a child or every other year for vacation with my family. And my grandparents are from the countryside, from two small towns in the north of Portugal. Not even towns, they're little villages. So it's extremely rural, and the animals would just walk in the streets and we would be free to do whatever we wanted. We would have to wash clothes in these outdoor pools to wash the clothes in because there is no washing machine. It was like going back in time. And I think that as a young child, I loved that. And the picnics that we would have in the forests, the festivities in the summer months that we would enjoy. It was really, really exciting. And I looked forward to it. I really enjoyed all of those moments. I would go with my grandfather to watch his sheep, and we would be there all morning and enjoying ourselves. And then after lunch, I would go with him to his typical walk to the cafe down the street to have his coffee with vent, which is like our type of brandy. It's a distilled spirit that is very typical in Portugal to have with your coffee. And this was for me genuine fun with the family. So obviously I came back to Portugal, went to university, started working in different areas, and in 2009 a friend from the university decided to change her life and open a travel agency, TRAVELTAILORS, and she talked to me about this. And since I was in a moment of changing career-wise, I said, well, okay, this could be interesting. Let's see how it works out. And in the moment when we started Travel Tailors, we registered the brand Portugal by Travel Tailors, always planning on selling Portugal to foreign travelers because for me, that was my focus. I already had two children at the time, young children, and I would travel around Portugal with them and even to some parts of Spain as well. This was our norm. So we thought, okay, well, since my focus was mostly on Portugal, that's what I knew. She traveled the world, that's what she knew. We decided it was a great marriage. So we would, have both brands and move forward with bringing as many travelers from outside of Portugal to really get to know what I enjoyed most about Portugal and getting the name out there. And that's how it kicked off.
I really love the fact that your childhood really inspired you, and the fact that, especially, travelers that are coming from the US are kind of seeking more of that, more of the traditional and cultural piece that Portugal can really, really offer to them. So I really love that that's part of your inspiration, is taking just the simplicity and the beauty of where you grew up and allowing yourself to weave that in to itineraries. And I know that Portugal by Travel Tailors is really known for that weaving of the cultural and the human side of Portugal into every itinerary. How would you describe kind of the Portuguese culture to someone who's never been, and how do you help educate advisors in explaining that, of what they have to look forward to?
Well, the culture of Portugal is really based in the tradition. So it has a lot to do with getting outside of the cities and understanding how rural life is. Because in the cities, we're going to see a very modern, cosmopolitan country. It has nothing to do with what Portugal was when I was growing up and when no one even knew where Portugal was located. It was part of the Iberian Peninsula. Some thought it was part of Spain. So when we think of it now, and we don't see the things I saw growing up in the city of Lisbon and Porto, and we never did. I mean, there aren't cows roaming the streets there. But if we go to the north of Portugal, for example, and my love for the north is huge because that's where I was born and that's where my family is. I was just there in the summer, and we're driving on a windy road going towards a national park, and we just simply find cows literally crossing the street after we had lunch. They're right there. Or the horses that are native to this area, the granite. We also find them roaming the streets and going into the mountains, to the forests. So this is that special touch that really creates the difference, as opposed to just going and seeing a beautiful city with tremendous monuments and history and tradition, because we have that all over the country, of course. But when you go into these rural areas, you'll find the elderly lady that still wears her black clothes because her husband passed away, and she's a widow, and she continues to want to do this. Or another older lady that continues to make cornbread in the traditional style, or someone that has their own goats to milk them and to make goat cheese from scratch. And all of these things we will find in these more rural locations. Also, many other activities, of course. But these touches that we find in these very small villages, and the way the houses are constructed, the granite stone houses up in the north, or even in the Alentejo region, you have another style of architecture, but it's very traditional and typical to the Alentejo region, the whitewashed. As we come further south, that's more common. These are the different aspects that we'll find throughout the country, the different landscapes that will make the country feel genuine to those who are discovering it for the first time.
Yeah, I really love that. Could you share a few examples of experiences that you've designed that, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about this later, but experiences that you've designed because of the relationships that you've built over, these many years, that really reflect the soul of Portugal?
We think that the ones that will reflect the most are probably related to gastronomy and also to winemaking. Those tend to, well, they tend to make everyone happy because everyone loves to eat.
Yes.
And there's a big essence in the Portuguese culture and in the family to be around the table. And friends, and that's where we meet. We're always around the table. In the summer, it's to have snails and beer. In the winter, you'll be having chestnuts on the fire and drinking a coffee, having some wine. It's all of this that's related to gastronomy that really makes people feel cozy and comfortable. So we love to do either cooking workshops with chefs that we work with, and we're talking about normal people that have grown in the gastronomy area and that have really immersed into the traditional dishes and culture of Portugal, created their look, let's say, on that food, on that dish, and they love showcasing this to the clients. We also work with some viscountesses and Viscount in the north of Portugal. We have a couple that we work with that do cooking workshops as well. And the interesting thing is to actually enjoy a conversation with these people that have a lot of stories to tell. They have a very interesting family history, an interesting life that they love to share with the clients. So that related to making some food, a traditional dish, something the clients will enjoy to be able to take home with them and even repeat at home if possible. It's pure joy, really, because it mixes all of the best things together. And then you have the winemaking. If you can have an experience of pressing wine with your feet, that is tremendous fun, and people tend to love to do this. Of course, it is very limited in time because it's only during the harvest season, which is mainly August, September. Since it's been getting warmer, it tends to start earlier.
Interesting.
So it's not just September, it starts in August. It can delay a little bit, then the timing is never exact, but it's always around that time. It's when the grapes are ready, and that's when you can enjoy the real experience and not, we don't do make-believes. So it's never done at another time except when it's precisely during harvest. And we have numerous experiences with food. Be it cooking with someone, be it having a food tour in one of the towns or cities and enjoying the local delicacies of that region that you can find from north to south, so many different things, be it savory or sweet.
Now I'm hungry. So, so you mentioned that a lot of these people who are helping you curate these experiences, they're not big business. They're people that have just become passionate and have created something for themselves. How do you find that specifically with Portugal by Travel Tailors, but you as well, you going out into the field and meeting with, your chefs and your singers and your hiking guides, and you've built relationships with all of these people. How do you find that this makes such a big difference as a DMC, and especially to the client who's the traveler who's going to be on those trips, the difference between the level of detail that you pay attention to the relationships that you build with these people versus it being potentially like a big business or, something that you could easily find on Google. I love that what you guys do is so behind the scenes and so like, some of them are like just a one woman operation in the middle of the Douro Valley. I love that about what you guys do. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that relationship building and the community building piece of it.
Well, this is true sustainability, really working with family-owned businesses or just a single-person business, like a young guy we work with in the Alentejo who is a olive oil producer, and he does it the way his grandfather did, and he has a 2,000-year-old tree in the yard where he obviously he's not using that one to produce the olives, but to the olive oil, but he's using the rest of the plantation, and he really, really does it for passion. He's a math teacher. So, and these are the type of things that, when you start meeting these people and understanding what they do is for passion, it's like me. I mean, I don't feel like I go to work every day. It's exciting. I love what I do. I love making people happy and creating itineraries that are dream vacations, are memories that will last a lifetime. That's what we love doing. And these people we work with, it's exactly the same thing, just in their art, in their specific activity. They love what they do. And we have this relationship with them that we understand what they do. We respect every aspect of what they do, and especially sometimes people say, "Oh, it's a little expensive." Things cost what they need to cost for them to function and to be proper. And this is what we want from our providers of experiences, our partners on the ground of these different experiences. We want them to be able to provide something that makes sense, that will give them a livelihood or a little extra, or only because they just want to do it, to not let it die down. Like I said about he's a math teacher. That's where he's getting his livelihood. But he doesn't want to let that olive oil, that pure gold, which we call now because the price of olive oil has gotten so through the roof. He doesn't want to let it disappear the way he remembers from his childhood. That's his memory, his dream, kind of like for me, my childhood coming for summer vacation. So wanting to share that, and these relationships we create with these people and with small hotels, family-owned hotels also, we establish this friendship. And once this friendship is established, our business is all about human relationships. We have to click. We have to have this chemical connection to work with someone. And the same for our clients, our agent partners that want to work with Portugal by Travel Tailors. They need to click with us. They need to feel that we understand them as agents and we give them what they're looking for. And when these clicks happen, that's how the relationship builds. And then we know we can always count on that partner. If something happens with a client, I can always go to that commercial director at the hotel and say, "Listen, I need your help." And they will for sure help me out. Me, any team member, of course, on Portugal by Travel Tailors team. And the same with every other activity that we're working with. We want to support these small companies, small families, so that they continue growing and also provide the very best that we can offer in Portugal, because we want people to not only have an amazing experience, but shout it out to the world and tell all of their friends and family that they loved coming to Portugal and that everyone should come also because it's a great experience.
Yeah. And what I really love is with the small, let's say that the olive oil producer, is that these experiences, for the most part, they're not mass produced. There is a level of intimacy, which is in today's day and age, the ultimate luxury is having that kind of one-on-one interaction and not being in a coach bus of 80 people, and really having that high level of intimacy, education, enjoyment, like you said. I think it all ladders up to the ultimate goal of sustainability, keeping things sustainable. The olive oil producer doesn't have to have 40 tours a day to keep going, because you guys are talking with him about what he needs and how, when, where he wants to offer these tours. I think I talk about sustainability a lot in the travel industry, and I think it has to be people centric. The people who are highlighting, it has to come from them, what they want and what they need. And I really appreciate that that's what you're doing in Portugal. So you did mention briefly, you said Lisbon and Porto, that it's the two main areas, the two cities that people are going to, and you're from the north. You mentioned Alentejo as well. When advisors are coming to you with requests from Portugal, what do you wish, or what do you encourage them to emphasize more in the itineraries? Are there any areas or little villages that you would love to see more advisors know about, that they can educate their clients about?
For sure. So basically, a few years ago, I did a fam trip just focusing on the north of Portugal. So the region called Minho, which is the north province, where Porto is located, just in the south. So you go from Porto to Minho, to the northern part. And Minho has, this northern part in general, the highest number of churches and temples and in the whole countries. They're absolutely gorgeous to visit, and most people have no idea. It has an amazing national park that we were driving through the mountains, and it's like a magic forest, and no one had an idea that, wow, this is Portugal, because they're used to just seeing, well, you have the cities, Porto and Lisbon, of course, that are beautiful, and then you have the coast, and then you have the Douro Valley, and no one imagines this dense forest with waterfalls that is right there, and these small cute little towns that no one really visits because they don't know about, and they're not on the tourist checklist. And when everyone is worried about, is it becoming touristy, What does that actually mean? Does that mean there are too many tourists in a location? Is that what it means? Or does it mean, was this made for a tourist? There's nothing in Portugal really that is made for a tourist. People go to the Pina Palace in Sintra. It was not made for a tourist. It's a centuries old palace, and it grew through time, made by different kings that added onto it. And it's an eclectic architectural structure. It's a UNESCO heritage, and it's gorgeous, and everyone wants to see it, but it's full of tourists. So if that's the definition of touristy, that is happening, and it's happening all over the world
Yeah.
in general, because globally we want to see the world. We want to see it all. And if we want to see it, everyone else wants to see it, and they have a right to. So there are going to be a lot of tourists in the areas of any country that become more known, more populated, especially the cities. And we want people to go outside of the cities. There are so many amazing properties opening up all over the country that are very high end and that are outside of the cities. And this can be in the center of Portugal, in the interior, away from the coast. There's a beautiful hotel there that is a real immersive visit because it's in a cute little town. There's a wine producing there, the Dao wine region, DAO, which is delicious as well, and it's grown incredibly. All of that's an example, but then you have the Alentejo, which is becoming a bit more popular, but still has a long way to go. There's so many people that can continue to come and want to go to those areas. We really want people to go off the beaten track, to feel that they really are on vacation. We get asked this a lot by agents at sales calls, in travel shows. So, where can we go that is out of the box? What do you have as experiences that are unknown? Everybody wants things that aren't found online, but soon everything will be found online. So that's going to become difficult. What we want to promote is forget the online. Just think, I want to understand the country. I want to know what this country really is about. And that's getting away from the hustle and bustle of the noise of cities. You can do that, obviously, a little bit, but get away from that and really enjoy the luxury of time and immersing yourself in a location and giving yourself time, which is the true luxury, to enjoy an area of the country that nobody's talking about, that you can walk around in a little town and see the actual life of this small area, enjoy the food in this area, see how people are living now in that area, maybe enjoy some activities that are different from what you know from your home, and understand what the country is all about that way.
Yeah, it's so true. And travelers don't know what they don't know. And I think as the rise of the advisor keeps happening, as the popularity of people working with advisors keeps growing, and the value that they place on their expertise, the more important it is for advisors to work with valued partners like you to show them and tell them about these places, because advisors also don't know what they don't know. So just hearing this, I'm like, okay, I got all these new places I got to add to my bucket list. And like you mentioned, time and space is the new luxury. Having space to breathe and not having a trillion people on top of you it's the new luxury these days. And I think that's what we're going to start seeing, the distribution of, just like kind of during the pandemic where a lot of people left cities and went to more rural areas to live. I think we're going to start seeing that in the travel industry as well, as people starting to find these more quieter, softer places to land, so that it actually, like you said, is a vacation. On a personal level, what part of Portugal holds the most meaning for you? Like, what is there is there a region? I think you touched on it a little earlier, but is there a region that really just like your heart bursts when you think of it?
Well, it's terrible. I'm repeating myself because it definitely is the north, because there's so much there. I'm more of a my favorite season is the fall, but I like the cold. And it's always usually colder up north. So it's kind of that cozy feeling of when you go to a granite house with a fireplace and you have, oven cooked bread, cornbread, and you're having a nice warm tea or warm coffee, or chestnuts roasted during the fall season, which is very typical. These are cozy things that just, they tickle your soul. Then you have a bunch of different experiences and artisanal works from the north that are so unique, like the filigree. And you can have a workshop with someone that is, you can either just observe, watch the person create the pieces, or you can make a piece. These earrings are filigree, and this heart is
Wow.
traditional from the north of Portugal. This shape of this heart is from where my parents are actually living now, Viana do Castelo, the town where I ended up coming to. It's a city, but it feels like a town because it's a very small city, where we ended up coming to when we came back from the United States to live there. And I ended up going directly to Coimbra, to the university, which is also fabulous. And I absolutely love Coimbra. I mean, it dates back to the 1200s. Imagine going to a university that dates back to the 1200s.
Wow.
It's fascinating. So in the north, then you have a bunch of other traditions. This beautiful folklore outfit that every year in August there's a festivity related to that, and all of these ladies get dressed up and parade in the streets with these outfits and with all of the family gold, all of the heirlooms from the family
Wow.
displayed on their chest. It's a sight to see. It really is a sight to see. And then they spend one entire night decorating the streets with colored salt so that a procession can walk by on these streets. And every little street area, a group of people that get together to decorate their street, they really get into this. I mean, it's a serious business. It's a
Yeah.
team of like 20 people, and they're decorating the street all night, and they want to make theirs the most beautiful, the best of the best. And it's all for the procession of Our Lady of Agony. So they take the statue and they go all the way to the river. Then the fishermen boats go into the ocean with the statue, and it's an absolute beauty of a festivity. And this happens in many other areas of Portugal. Different festivities, of course. There's the flowers, there's a lot of other saints, there's numerous festivities that take place during the summer months mostly all over the country. And it's an exciting time to come and see all of these different things. And again, this was what I loved when I was young, and having that festival food and all that. It's just great joy.
You've mentioned the traditions and, the culture and the crafts and the different experiences and now the festivities. For those that are listening, if you want to dive deeper into the specific experiences that your clients can have, I'm going to link in the show notes of this episode the recording for the webinar that you're going to run that is all about traditions and all about the experiences that clients can have, so you can have access to that. Finally, Paula, what do you see for the future of tourism in Portugal? Like, what should advisors know about what do you see happening in terms of tourism?
Well, we spoke a little bit about getting away from the cities. So
Mm,
definitely, I think that's a big plus, and I think that'll happen. And it's very common for it to happen maybe as a second or third time visit to Portugal, which we've already had clients return.
yeah.
Also, we can't forget our islands. We have continental Portugal, but we have our islands, the Azores and the Madeira Islands. So there's so
Yes.
much to see, and people can easily return to the country to go and visit different areas or different regions. This is a plus. And another thing that I think might be happening in general, probably not just Portugal, but people wanting to stay, wanting to have a private stay, not necessarily stay at a hotel. This happens with multi-gen families more, but even for private couples or smaller families, having a feeling of a hotel stay, but in a private home, located in a small village, and having all of the commodities and amenities that they would have at a hotel, but feeling like they're at home and being able to explore areas that are less known, having a different type of experience in a country. I think this could be something that I see it happening already in some countries, and it happens in Portugal when we think of villa stays, but I'm thinking a little bit more in the immersiveness of smaller towns
Mm.
and having the hotel service, just being able to experience things on a more intimate and private level. I think that will be the way tourism, or at least premium luxury tourism, would grow in the future.
I really love that. I mean, 100% everything that we talked about just kind of wraps that all up. And to know that it's available in Portugal and that you have connections and contacts and relationships with people to be able to make that happen is amazing. So, Paula, I'd love to end with the way that advisors can connect with you. Obviously, if anyone's listening that wants to work with Portugal by Travel Tailors, please feel free to reach out to us here at Travel Kinship. You can email me directly at kelly@travelkinship.com. But if they'd like to connect with you online or via email, is there anywhere that's best for them?
They should definitely write to Portugal at travel-tailors.com. That's our general team email, and everyone has access to that. And I'm always in touch with everything the team is doing, so I'm aware of everything and can always reach out to any advisor to help out with whatever is needed.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're feeling on fire and lit up to start planning the bucket list adventure you're craving, let's work together. I'm here to manage all of the hassle of planning, hand select your options specifically for you, and give you the inside scoop that no AI itinerary can give you. Click the link in the show notes to look through our pricing and packages. You're one click away from the adventure of a lifetime. This is your reminder to keep on exploring.